there's no such thing as recession-proof real estate. But if you want secure real estate, I think the most secure real estate that you can buy is by buying tax lien certificates.
Hey, thank you for joining us. I am here again with Ted Thomas, who is America's tax lien and tax deed authority. Good to see you again, Ted.
Good to see you.
Ted,
thanks.
As we stand here, or as we sit here talking, inflation is going crazy right now. And, the experts are saying recession is coming. So tell me, does this phase you at all? Or, is your business, or is what your tax liens, tax deeds, is that real estate recession proof?
Well, it's certainly real estate's not recession proof. Anybody says that they're having a dream, but the market actually cycles up and down, and it's always going to cycle. So the way to get out of the cycle part of the business is do what I did 30 years ago and what we really teach. So we're going to talk about a recession. Everybody's worried prices are going to come down, wages are going to come down, people are going to lose jobs. A lot of things like that. So we will have those cycles up and down. The solution to that is, if you're going to buy real estate, then you have to buy at the right part in the cycle. In other words, it's not a joke, but most people do buy high and sell low. Now that's the opposite. You should buy low and sell high. So to get around that, what I did a number of years ago is I realized that the tax defaulted properties, the government wasn't trying to make money on those. The local county was confiscating the property. Once they confiscated the property, they didn't want it. So they just sold it for the back taxes. Now, the back taxes on a property are only 1 or 2%. So if you can buy a property for 1 or 2%, you're saying to yourself, well, how many can I buy? I mean, you'd want to buy those kind of. So we actually teach people to buy at the low part in the market. All right. Now, how do you buy in the low part of the market? Well, if the market's cycling, then you need to really learn about the tax lien properties and most people don't know about it. Even though there's 5,000 auctions a year, most people don't even know that their county has a tax defaulted auction. But let's go back to the recession part. So the recession, what everybody's worried about is they're going to lose their job, number one, because companies are going to shrink. All right, now if you're going to get in real estate, you need to be in a business where you're going to have some reserves. You don't want to bet your last dime. Everybody that goes broke in real estate is because they use too much leverage. And leverage simply means you mortgage too much. You have too big a mortgage. All right, so I won't get into that in depth, but there's no such thing as recession-proof real estate. But if you want secure real estate, I think the most secure real estate that you can buy is by buying tax lien certificates. Now, tax lien certificates are buying pieces of paper. For example, that's a tax lien certificate. When you buy that, it's safe and secure because you bought it from the county. So I took a long answer there to answer you because we went from recession to cycles to all that. But the point is, the real estate market will always have that ebb and flow. The problem is people, they get excited about it when it gets high.
Sure.
Okay, that isn't the time to buy. Now is the time to wait. And then when it comes back down the other side, all right, but very few people do that because buying a house, it's very emotional.
Sure.
We gotta have that house because we want that neighborhood. Oh, my wife loves it. No, I love it. I got a place for the dog. I always wanted to have a little office at home. I mean, they fall in love with all those things. So they pay a lot of money sometime, but then the market goes down. So the market will always cycle. It's not going to go away, at least in the capitalistic one.
Let me ask you, because it's interesting, because, during recession, people are looking at other types of investment too. So, I mean, just in the stock market. So would this type of investment in tax liens, tax deeds, is it safer than the stock market in a bad economy?
Oh, everybody that's on television, on the internet, if they're selling something other than the stock market, they're going to take the time to knock the stock market. You don't have to knock the stock market. There's plenty parts of the stock market that are very secure. I mean, people buy treasuries in the stock market. You buy bonds in the stock market. Some of those are very stable investments. A lot of mutual funds are very stable, index funds and things like that. So I don't know that the stock market, if you're buying on growth stocks, take the word growth out of it. If you're buying stocks, take the word growth out and just put speculation in, because growth means you're speculating that it's going to grow. That's what you're doing. All right. So tech stocks they can be really violent, going up and down, volatile. All right. So I don't knock the stock market, But here's what I think. Now I'm very, very prejudiced. I'm very prejudiced. Anybody's looking at me right now, just because I got one a wild shirt on and whatever, that doesn't mean I'm not conservative. The most conservative investment that I particularly like is I like to go to the government, my local government, and buy a tax certificate. Now, why do I want to buy that? Because the government has the ability to tax. So when they tax, if they can't collect the tax, then they sell the tax certificate to me, then I get it. So now I bought a certificate. So I bought the certificate. I'm either going to get paid or I'm going to get the property. Now think about what I said. I'm either going to get paid or I'm going to get the property. Well, if I only paid 1 or 2% the value of the property, I'm praying that I'm going to get the property. I don't know if you understood me or not, but if I don't get paid and I get a property for 5 or 10%, I'd love to buy those things.
Hey, that's really interesting and enlightening too, Ted. And I mean, is that aspect, is that what makes doing this maybe one of the best investments during a recession?
Well, I think so. If you're going to get involved in a recession, real estate, first of all, you want to buy low, below the regular market. You want to buy low. Okay, but now if I want to really be conservative, I'm going to buy tax lien certificates from the government and try to get a high interest rate of 16 or 18%. What's wrong with that? 18%, you double your money about every 4.5 years. What's wrong with that? That's a good investment. And if the people don't pay me, I get that particular property. So I don't just buy any tax certificate. I go down and look at it. It's a nice little house. I'd like to have that nice little house. What if it's an office building? What if it's a farm? What if it's a whatever? You get the idea.
So, we're talking both tax liens and tax deeds.
Right.
Does the recession change the risk of investing in one or the other? I mean, is it safer? What's the safer choice if the economy tanks, to have the tax lien or the tax deed?
I'm not an investment advisor. I mean, I'm certainly not a broker. I'm not a attorney. I'm not a CPA. I'm not any of that. I'm just an investor and an author. And I look at properties based on the value. So let's say the value is $100,000 and all the comparable ones in the neighborhood, $100,000. And the tax certificate is selling for $2,000. Okay, so I bought a tax certificate for $2,000 and the house is worth $100,000 and the people don't pay. Well, according to the rules of the tax certificate, if I don't get paid on the certificate, I get the property. So now I just bought a property for $2,000. To me, that's a hell of a deal.
So another question here, and I don't know if it's related to that or not, but if I bought a tax deed, should I hang on to the property until the recession eases? Or does your buy low and sell quick, does that still apply?
Well, if I bought the $100,000 property and I bought it for, say, $20,000, I could still sell it for $40,000 and I'm way under the market. So if I bought it for 20 and I sold it for 40, I doubled my money. Am I feeling good? Yeah, I'm patting myself on the back. Matter of fact, I'm breaking my arm patting myself on the back because I just doubled my money. You're right, patting both hands to pat myself on the back. All right, so I doubled my money. That's good enough for me. Move on to the next one. There's going to be 5,000 tax defaulted auctions every year.
One last question then. I mean, and you kind of explained some of the advantages of doing this, but does being in a recession, does it change your strategy or how aggressively you should invest? I mean, for instance, would you be more inclined to do seller financing?
Now you're hitting on something that most people don't know about. Okay. All right. So generally speaking, when people want to buy a real estate property, they're going to go to a bank and borrow the money, or maybe they're going to get the money from a relative or something like that. So what I suggest to people, if you're going to get in a business like this, what you could do is, let's say you bought a property for 20 cents on the dollar and you want to sell that property. Well, you're not going to have any trouble if you're way under the market. So if it was a $100,000 property, you bought it for 20,000, you could sell it for 40, just like what I talked about. All right, that would be a nice profit. But you want to make another profit that's even better than that? Just keep that profit in the picture and then tell the people out there that you'll finance them. When you look at the banks make a lot of money. Well, the banks are making, the new rates now are about 7%. They doubled since we started making these videos, they've doubled. So if you could now make, say, 10%, now you're going to get 10% on the first 20 and the second 20. Nothing wrong with that. So seller financing, that's something we could cover in depth, not so much today, but seller financing, I believe, is another whole profit center for people that get involved in tax defaulted property. Now, it's a little complex to try to explain it the first time that we get together like today. But I'll be happy to on other episodes that we can just talk about seller financing. It's an important factor in the business, and people that learn how to do it. I have one client, to give you an example. I have one client in Michigan, and he doesn't want to put a lot of money into property. So we taught him how to buy at tax defaulted auctions. And then we taught him how to do it with his credit card. So over a period of 6 years, this is hard to believe, over a period of 6 years, he bought 60 properties using a credit card, okay, gave the tax collector a credit card, and then he sold every one of those properties. He sold them by using what we call seller financing. In other words, he got payments on those properties. So he sold it, got a payment every single month for 10 years. 10 years.
Wow.
So a property he might have bought for $10,000, he ended up making $30,000 and $40,000 by the time he made a profit on the property and he made a profit on the financing. So why not make 2 profits instead of 1?
That's not a bad deal at all, Ted. 2 instead of 1, that's always better, isn't it? So,
Yeah,
hey, Ted,
exactly right. Exactly right.
but
So,
for the folks who are watching, this has been really a great conversation and got a sense of what the possibilities are during a recession to actually put it to your advantage a little bit. What would you suggest? What's a good next step for the folks watching? What should they do if they want to learn more?
well, what I tell people to do is, if you're just getting started, it's very easy to look at other videos that I do. I've got almost 400 videos up on YouTube that they can watch anytime they want. And that's free. Then they should subscribe. We'll tell them about how they could come to a one-day event where they could sit at home in their living room or in their kitchen having a sandwich and spend one whole day with us. That's another way they could get involved. Some people actually like to come to events that we do. I don't have time to talk about that now, but I'll put a little video up here before we finish, and I'll actually show you what it looks like to come to an event. You'll see people there getting their questions answered and things like that.
That's great. I think it'll be really enlightening for you to watch that. So, hey, Ted, thanks as always for your insight and your information. And it's exciting. Some real great possibilities out there.
See you next time.
Bye, everybody.